So today we're actually going to start. We want to make sure we've got two blocks. A blanket strap is optional. You'll put your two blocks towards the top of your space. The blanket can go somewhere off to the side, strap can go somewhere off to the side. And then we're going to start towards the top of our mat in heads up, seven up. So you'll stack your forearms right on top of each other, or maybe you'll slide your elbows a little further apart and bring your head onto either your hands or onto your forearms. And then your feet, your legs can either be hip distance apart or maybe even wider. Good morning, Laura. And then you'll notice if you want to have your toes pointing towards each other, if you want the tops of the feet straight down on the floor, or if you want your toes sort of pointing out. And if you want to wiggle that pelvis around just a little bit, that works too. But then we're going to take the first couple of moments or first couple of breaths here to first just drop into the shape. The practice is focused around this idea of giving ourselves time to digest. For me personally, I've been coming to this revelation, as it were, that I feel like I've eaten physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, the entire turkey dinner, Christmas dinner, Easter dinner, Seder dinner, every 4th of July food, everything you could possibly eat in a year. I feel like I've eaten it in a very small period of time. And so I feel stuffed, and not like that good stuff where you like take a nap and relax on the couch and watch something, but like the type of stuff where you feel uncomfortable. And so as I've been sitting with this thought, I've noticed that I just have to give myself, my body, my breath, my being time to digest. And so you're in this shape, and I want you to notice where you can start to soften. Maybe it's around the shoulders. Maybe you notice that your jaw can hang a little bit more here, or your belly drops even more into the floor. Maybe you notice that the pelvis just settles down. And then once you find that the weight of the body just starts to soften a little bit, you might then begin to notice the spaciousness. There's a sense of ease that starts to come into the breath. The breath might start to become a little bit fuller, maybe in the abdomen, maybe in the low back, maybe in the ribs. But we're giving ourselves a little bit of an opportunity to pause so that we can digest things, so that we can allow the nutrients that we would like to obtain from whatever things we're eating, literally or metaphorically, and then process them and discard the stuff that we don't need. So you're going to be here for about 3 more breath cycles. And I want you to just notice where you can find or notice that the breath might become a little bit fuller, a little bit more easy. And we'll see if every shape that we go into today, we can give ourselves permission to just slow down and digest. And digesting might just be simply like, ooh, look at that new sensation. It might be, oh, there's a sense of ease that comes with the shape. And so you're going to pay attention to what works for you and really honor that. On your next in breath, let's go ahead and lift our head away from our arms, and then bring your arms either out into a T shape to the right and to the left, or cactus your arms at 90-degree angles at your shoulders height. Now, depending upon whichever one you've done, that's really going to impact how you're going to feel this. So let's turn our head to the right. Step your right hand underneath your right shoulder. And before you go anywhere, just pause and breathe here. Notice what part of the abdomen is still breathing into the floor. And after you've registered that, you'll start to press into your right hand and start to roll over towards your left side. And again, you're only going as far as your body is able to receive the pose, really feel the sensations of it, take the juice, the nectar, the sweetness from it, and then let go of the stuff that you don't need. And so you might notice that as you're here, you might want to lift or adjust your head a little bit. You might notice that as you're here, you want to play with what that back arm is doing. So maybe apply a little bit more pressure into the left hand, left elbow. Maybe you need to adjust it a little bit. We're not in a rush. We're just giving ourselves the capacity and the opportunity to explore what's here. And you've got about 2 more breath cycles here, and you just notice what you notice. And then as you're ready, today I want you to very consciously pay attention to the front of your body and notice how you can layer or lay your belly back down onto the floor sort of sequentially. And notice what that feels like as maybe the left side, the middle, then the right side of the abdomen comes back onto the floor. And then you just take a moment to pause and you notice. As you're ready, we'll try all of this on the other side. So first thing, your gaze goes to the left. You step the left hand under the shoulder, and before you move, you just register what that feels like. And then as you've registered that, start to press into the left hand and roll to your right. Our everyday society, the tasks, the obligations or responsibilities that we have always request or encourage us to move a lot faster than we might ordinarily want to need to feel capable of doing. And so we're just really focusing on what is our internal compass telling us. So on this side, do you need to lift the head? Do you maybe want to reach back more through that left foot? Is there more pressure you can apply into the right hand, the right elbow? Where's the breath entering? We're just giving ourselves permission to be with things as they are. And after you take these next two breath cycles, again, you'll slowly lay the front of the body consciously, deliberately back onto the floor and notice what that feels like. Once you find yourself back onto your abdomen, once you've registered that, the hands will come alongside your happy little ribs. Push down into your hands, press up into a hands and knees position, and then make your way back to Balasana, child's pose. And for this first one, you'll bring your hips to your heels, your chest to the thighs, and bring your arms back behind you so that now our shoulders are going a different orientation. And so maybe the hands are just on the floor. And you just take a couple of breaths here to breathe and just check in and notice what you notice. I think a lot of my own reactivity comes from the idea that I have to go faster than I'm able at a given moment. And yet I hearken back to my times as a dancer. And when I had to do fast choreography, my brain was going so slow. I was so precise and present because I allowed everything else that wasn't needed to just drop away. And so we're going to see if we can try to get into that. We're just paying attention to what's happening now so that you can become what slow is smooth and smooth is quick. All right, as we're ready, let's go ahead and slowly roll up your spine to sit on your heels. And if that doesn't work for you, by all means, you can sit cross-legged. And once you find yourself seated, maybe the eyes close or the gaze just becomes soft. And I want you to notice what it feels like to stack your shoulders really over your pelvis to find your natural lumbar curve. And then notice what it feels like to draw the ears in line with the shoulders, to soften the shoulders down the back. Now, when you feel next called to breathe in, you're going to arch your low back. So your bum will go back a little further, your chest will start to come forward, your gaze might lift. And then when you exhale, you'll curl the tailbone under, you'll roll the spine under, and you'll find a little cat pose. And you'll do about 4 more of these. So you're taking just these seated cats and cows, particularly if you notice that you have stiffness in your back in the morning or even in your hips. Just explore what this feels like to take this simple rocking motion that's starting in the pelvis and then working its way all the way up through the vertebra of the spine. Awesome. After you have taken 4, there is no rush. You're following your breath. You're going to start to make these circles. So when you inhale, you'll come forward. And then as you exhale, your ribs might start to go to the left and then back behind you. You'll inhale to the right. The ribs will come forward. And then you'll exhale and go towards the left. And you've got 4 of these. And again, you're just sensing in to what feels appropriate to you, giving the body time to register what's going on so that it can process that information and really use it for your betterment. Awesome. And after you've taken 4 one direction, you'll find the spot that feels most appropriate for you to change direction. So for me, it feels like it happens when I'm back in that contracted position. Some of you might find that it happens when you're forward in that extension position. So you just pay attention. The head might be going along for the ride. The arms might feel like they want to move. That's totally up to you, but you're just sensing into that. And after you've taken 4 this direction, you'll go ahead and settle in stillness. And again, just check in, see what you feel in the body. Notice what you notice in the breath. And then we'll start to crawl ourselves forward onto hands and knees. Now, once you find yourselves in hands and knees, this is just going to be a side bend. So you'll look over one hip and then the other and just notice what that feels like. After you've taken this a few times, you might find that you want to explore a standard cat and cow pose. And if you do, again, start with your pelvis. So you'll curl the tailbone under, you'll ripple through the low belly, the ribs, the chest, the throat, the chin, the head. And then again, you'll start from the tailbone, rippling forward through the belly, through the chest, through the collarbones, through the throat, through the face. And you'll just take 3 of these, just noticing what this feels like. Now that you've got your arms involved, now that you've got gravity, you might find there's more range of motion in the shape. And if so, great. If not, great. It doesn't matter. Just notice if you can give yourself permission to just be with what you are experiencing, process it, use what you need, and let go of the rest. Awesome. After your next exhale, let's find a neutral spine. And then from here, slide your left foot back, curl the toes under, and then float your left leg parallel-ish to the floor. Now, with your left foot parallel to the floor, really press back through your left heel. Some of you might want to take your right hand to the front side of your body and see if you can lift or encourage your abdomen to come away from the floor, and notice what that does to the low back. From there, you might reach your right arm forward in opposition, and we'll just take a couple of breaths to register this shape. So we feel the press of our left hand down. We feel the engagement of our left leg. We feel our back and our abdomen. We extend out through our right hand, and we're just pausing and we're breathing. On your next exhale, lower just your right hand. Inhale, send your left leg a little further back. And as you exhale, draw your knee to your nose. And you've just got 3 of these, and you're just paying attention. Can you fully round your spine as you draw that knee in? Can you fully extend and lengthen the spine as you send the leg back? And again, we're just moving at a pace that allows us to process what's going on and fully just register it. Might notice if you can slow down just a little bit if you're moving super fast, or if that feels good to you, that's fine. Awesome. After this next one, go ahead and lower your knee to the mat. Take a moment to just settle and then find that cat and cow once again, starting from your pelvis, working through all the vertebra up towards your skull. And then again, from the pelvis all the way to your skull for your cat. Great. When you're ready, find yourself in a neutral spine. And then we'll try all that on the other side. So go ahead and send your right leg back, curl the toes under, and then float the right leg parallel-ish to the floor. From here, really press back through the right heel, push down into the right hand, and then bring the left hand to the front of your body to make sure you're encouraging your abdomen to tone around the center of your spine. From there, you might lengthen your left arm forward, and we just press down into our left shin this time, our right hand. Reach back through your right heel, engage your right glute, extend forward through your skull and out through your left hand. Next exhale, left hand comes to the floor. Inhale, send the right leg a little further back, and then exhale, knee to nose. And you've got about 4 of these on this side. And again, you're just paying attention. How does the connection between the hands and the floor feel? The connection of the breath with the movement of the body, the connection of the knee coming into your chest and the rounding of your spine. Just paying attention to all these things. And then after you've done 4, go ahead and lower the knee down to the mat. Again, take a cat and cow shape, initiating it from the pelvis. Awesome sauce. And then when you feel complete with that, come to stillness, come to neutral. Now, this one's going to be weird, I'm not going to lie. Press into your right hand. Bring your left hand to the back of your sacrum. Left hand to the back of your sacrum. So we want to ideally imagine that for some reason I have put a cup of tea or coffee on your sacrum. We don't want this to move. Start to push down into your right hand, reach your skull forward, your pubic bone back, and then start to push down more into your right hand until you start to roll your ribs towards the left. It's not going to go very far because we're not letting our teacup coffee cup spill. So keep pushing down through the right hand, roll towards your left. Push down into the right, roll towards the left. Fantastic. Are you breathing? Awesome. Next in breath, gently release, lower the left hand down. And then cat and cow here just to reset. Awesome sauce. And then find our way back to neutral. Press down into your left hand. Right hand comes to the back of your sacrum. Again, we find the length first. So inhale, make your front body come in to support your spine. As you exhale, you press down into that left hand and you roll your upper ribs towards the right, pulling belly into spine whole time. Nice job. So surprising amount of work on that left hand. Next in breath, we'll gently unwind. This time we're going to curl our toes under, walk your hands forward about half an handprint, and lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Now, when we get into our down dog today, I really want you to pay attention to what's happening in your pelvis. And so you might begin to shift your pelvis right to left. And as you shift your pelvis right to left, notice what's happening in the backs of your legs. Notice if it's just in the upper hamstrings or if you notice it going all the way down the calves and down into the ankles. And then after you've shifted it a little bit, you might notice that you want to start bending one end or both of your knees. And notice what that does to the shape, what that does to the experience of this moment and your breath. Great. And then once you feel complete with that, we'll go ahead and come to a center still point. On your in-breath, find length into your spine. And then as you exhale, draw your right knee to your nose. Step your right foot between your hands. Fantastic. Now at this point, maybe you bring your hands to blocks or maybe you keep them on the floor. In either case, what we're going to do is push down a lot into our left hand. Bring our right hand either to the outside edge of our right thigh, or maybe you'll bring it back to your sacrum. Again, we're going to push down into that left hand, push down into your right foot, hug your happy glutes towards each other, and then start to roll your rib cage towards the right. And the more we push down into our left hand and we think of our sternum coming forward, we can see that there's this ringing happening. Maybe you might feel it, I don't know, from your left lat, so that's underneath your armpit, across the ribs, all the way to your back. Great. Next in breath, let's gently unwind. Hands come to floor or blocks. Step your back foot in a smidge for warrior one. Now, at this point, you really might want to encourage the blocks to come up to their highest height if they're not there already. And we're just paying attention to what's happening on our back foot. So your front knee is bending as much as it feels comfortable to do so. You're pressing on the pinky toe edge of your left foot. And then from there, see if you can find some length along your front spine. So again, the low belly is coming into the spine and lengthening out through the spine. Nice job, guys. All right. From here, let's press to the ball of our back foot. So your heel lifts. Lift your back heel away from the floor. There we go. Shift your weight forward, walk your blocks forward, and find yourself in a standing splits variation. That was extreme, I know. So we're going to take a couple of breaths here to find ourselves. So first thing is just notice what's happening into that supporting leg, the right leg. What's happening in that back leg, the gesturing leg, your left leg. Now, some of you will stay here and be happy as a clam. Some of you are going to externally rotate your top hip. So you're going to stack your left hip on top of your right. Yep. From there, you might bring your left hand to your left hip. Yep. If you've done all that, you're going to reach back through your left foot quite a bit. So we're in this half moon shape quite early in practice. And just notice what that feels like. Yeah. If you've lifted your hand, bring your hand back to the floor or the blocks. Square your hips to the floor. Step your left foot next to your right. So you're now at a forward fold at the top of your space. Now, at this point, I would encourage you to separate your feet at least hip distance apart. And then we're going to drop our head and take some figure eights with your pelvis. And I want you to just notice as you're hanging upside down here, maybe hands are on blocks, maybe hands are on the floor, what's happening in your legs, what's happening in your hips, what's happening in your feet, what's happening in your breath. A lot of the things that happen in life, we don't always have the capacity to tune in, to tap in, to understand, to see all the different things that are happening on a multitude of levels. And I think that my feeling of being overstuffed is like I haven't been giving myself space or time to fully digest the things. And so as you're here, just notice if anything has started to open or loosen or shift. And then when you feel complete, go ahead and come to stillness. All right. Inhale, halfway lift, draw your hands up, your shin bones or maybe fingers on blocks. And then as you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palm, step back, plank pose. Here's our first plank pose of the day. Our sequencing seems, I liked it, but it's interesting today. So now we're in plank pose. We're going to borrow a little Christina cell today. So first thing I want you to do is push down hard into your hands until it feels like your upper back rounds just a smidge. Once you feel that upper back round just a smidge, I want you to isometrically draw your hands from right to left. So as though you're trying to pull your mat apart. And then if you're good with those two things, you can stay there. If you want a little bit more, you'll isometrically draw the heels of your hands back to your toes and then engage your outer hips so you feel the front low belly pull up. On your next in breath, you'll shift your weight forward and slower than you want to, lower all the way to the belly. Great. Once you find yourself on your abdomen, hands are wherever feels comfortable for you. And I want you to take 5 complete breath cycles to come into your cobra. You all know cobra, so 5 complete breath cycles. And you're just giving your body permission to integrate the awareness. So you might start by just lifting the chest. You might start by engaging the legs. Whatever you're doing, you've got 5 breath cycles to just find the shape and then notice how you can expand it by breathing in some places or engaging other muscle groups. And you're just being with what feels appropriate for you. And after you've taken your 5 breath cycles, you lower yourself back down. Nice work. Once you've come back down, you'll inhale to hands and knees. And then you'll exhale back to child's pose. This child's pose will keep our arms forward. And you just notice what you notice on this one. A lot of life is, I think, theme and variation. But what makes theme and variation interesting, at least compositionally, is when you notice the variation, you can feel the familiarity with what has come before, but there's something exciting and new about the change. On your next in breath, let's come up to hands and knees. And as you exhale, make your way back to your downward facing dog. And I think the same thing is with like a lot of our life experiences, but we have to give ourselves time to register the variation. So again, when you come back to down dog, you might be still. You might find that you want to shift your pelvis again, like we did at the very beginning, a little to right, to left. You might find that you want to bend one knee and or both knees. You might even find that this time you want to explore what it feels like to come a little forward and back, meaning like you raise the balls of your feet. Maybe you find a little bit more space in the upper back, maybe not. But again, we're giving ourselves permission to be fully with the experience, really allowing ourselves to take note, to register what it is. Awesome. Once you're done with whatever the heck you happen to be doing, let's find stillness. Take a big breath in here, lengthen the vertebra as much as you can. And then as you exhale, your left knee comes to your nose. Gently step that foot between your hands. Maybe bring hands to blocks if that feels supportive to you. And then we'll just take a couple of breaths here. So again, on this side, we really want to root down into our left foot. That's our front foot. We really want to press down into our right hand. And then maybe you bring your left hand to the outer edge of your left thigh. Maybe you bring it back to your sacrum. In either case, let's find the length from our butt through our crown. As you exhale, really push down into your right hand. Draw your belly away from your inner left thigh and see if you can rotate your ribs over towards your left. And again, maybe hug those outer hips, especially the right hip. That's the back hip in. And we pause and we breathe. Nice work. Next in breath, we'll gently unwind. Hands come to floor or blocks. You'll step your right foot in a little bit and spin it down for warrior one. At this point, you might turn your blocks up to a higher setting if you're using them. And the focus is really just on that back foot. So making sure we're bending into our left knee, but we're pressing like crazy onto our right pinky toe edge of the foot. And then find that the length of the front body can come from that back foot so that you maybe lengthen the front body. And it's almost like you're in a giant diagonal from your back foot all the way through your head. Yeah, there you go. Now, from here, we're going to lift to the ball of our back foot. So you're going to lift your right heel away from the floor. You'll notice that that allows you the opportunity to start to walk your blocks forward and shift your weight forward and float your right leg parallel-ish to the floor. Awesome. And again, option to stay right here, happy standing splits. Some of you will bring your right hip to stack on top of your left. Some of you might bring your right hand to your right hip. Wherever you are, we're pushing down like crazy through our left foot. We're reaching out through our right heel. Our sternum comes forward and maybe we lean back. Nice work. As you're ready, you're going to square your shoulders and hips to the floor, lower your right hand to the block or the floor, and then step your right foot next to your left. Awesome. Make sure your feet are about hip distance apart. And again, maybe you find that figure four in your hips. This time, if you do that, I would encourage you to notice the difference in sensation if you actively bend one knee. You can also notice the difference in sensation if you roll to the outside edge of one foot and maybe let the sole of the foot slightly peel away from the floor. So you're creating figure eights that are theoretically parallel to the ceiling. And you're using your greater trochanters, those are the giant bony protrusions on the outer edges of your hips to create that circle. And then your spine and your head just go along for the ride. All right, and once you've done enough of that, you'll go ahead and come to center, come to stillness. As you're ready, bend your knees as much as you want. Start from your tailbone and roll all the way up your spine, bone by bone. Awesome. Once you find yourself standing, just take a moment to let your system recalibrate. So just take a breath here, letting everything settle. From here, we'll bring our hands to our low back. You'll interlace your fingers at the webbing, and then we'll draw both hands over towards your left hip. So left hands are towards your left hip. Or left waist, I guess I should say. They're higher up. There we go. Fantastic. All right. Now with our hands over here, you're going to drop your right ear to your right shoulder and then draw your left elbow back. And some of you will stay here happy as a clam. Some of you will turn your chin towards the floor or maybe the chin towards the sky. Some of you might open and close your mouth a few times. All of us, let's make sure we're not locking out our knees. So if you need to bend your knees a little bit, do that. And then see if we can breathe. Okay. From here, we'll gently just allow our chin to come towards our chest. You'll bring your hands behind you and draw them to the opposite waist. And then from there, draw your left ear towards your left shoulder. Maybe draw your right elbow back a little bit. Notice if you want to reach your chin towards your armpit, or if you want to reach your chin towards the sky. If you want to open and close your mouth a few times, that's totally fine, but you just pause and you breathe. Awesome sauce. As we're ready, draw the chin towards our midline. Draw the hands back behind you. And now from here, you'll draw the shoulders up towards the ears, shoulder blades together on the back, and use that as a rippling action to draw your chest forward and then up. Awesome sauce. Some of you will choose to keep your hands here, and if you do, you'll fold forward. Otherwise, you'll release your hands and slide them down the outer edges of your thighs to come into a forward fold. So either hands are back behind you and overhead, or hands slide down the thighs to the floor. Awesome. Cool. And then you just pause here. If your hands are behind you, bring your hands to your bum, and then slide your hands down your back and to the floor. From here, let's inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step yourself back to plank pose. Okay, once again with the plank, push down through the hands until the upper back rounds. Press wide into your fingertips, so pinky fingers right to left, and then draw the heels of the hands back. From there, see if you could shift your weight forward a little bit, and slower than you want to, lower all the way down in one piece. Keep your heads lifted, slower than you want to, all the way down. Nice job. Awesome. Once you find yourself down, we're going to take 5 breaths to find locust pose. So this is going to lift our legs up, lift our arms up. Your hands can be wherever they want to be. So if you want to interlace them back behind you, great. If you want them on the sides of your torso, great. If you want to just keep your hands hovering next to your chest, fantastic. Just do whatever you feel like you need to do, but you've got 5 breaths. And you're allowing yourself to slowly come into the shape, and then notice the natural adjustments that your body needs to make as you adjust, as you register what's going on. Yep. And after you've taken your 5 breaths, you slowly lower down. Great. Let's go ahead and bend our right knee, grab our right foot with our right hand. Just take a moment to pause here. Find a little bit of a stretch. Bring a cheek to the mat if that feels like it's better on your nose or your face. Okay. And after you've done the right leg and it feels complete, you'll gently release that and try the left. And again, you're just taking time. If I'm rushing you at any point in time, the whole purpose of today's practice is to slow down. So you take your time and I will adjust. You just pause and you breathe. Awesome. All right. When you feel complete, you'll gently release the left leg. You'll bring your hands alongside your lowest ribs. Now this is up to you. You can curl your toes under and come up through the slowest plank you could possibly consider, or come up to hands and knees. It's your choice, but you're going to just really be in the shape for you. Yep. And then from there, you'll make your way back to downward facing dog. Awesome sauce. All right, let's move on. From here, let's go ahead and inhale and sweep your right leg up and back. Awesome. As you exhale, draw the knee to your nose. Plant your foot between your hands. Great. Now, from here, this is going to be super duper awkward. So you're going to take as many steps as you need to step your left foot next to your right. As many steps as you need to step your left foot next to your right. Great. Awesome. From there, let's go ahead and inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, fold in. Okay. Inhale, bend your knees, roll up your spine, come up to stand. Great. And then just register how you're feeling once you're upright. All right. Let's go ahead and bring our hands to our hips and turn to face the long edge of our mat. And then you can either step or jump your feet about 3 feet apart. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is just bend one knee and then the other. I'm not so concerned with what you're doing. We're just feeling what's happening in our outer ankles, in our shin bones, in our knees, in our hips, in our spine, in our breath. Okay. Once you feel like you've gone both sides an equal number of times, we'll go ahead and come back through center. Turn your toes out, your heels in. Then we're going to sit for everybody's favorite pose, horse stance. Now, we're going to be here for a little bit because we're really going to digest it. So put your hands wherever works for you. You might want to keep them on your waist. You might want to bring your hands to heart center. If you're feeling extra fiery today, maybe you've got the cactus arms alongside your ears. But you just take a couple of breaths here and you pause, and we're just going to digest it. We're going to feel the sensations building. We're going to give ourselves permission to be with the breath, with the sensation, with the experience as it is. And we're just going to notice, about 2 to 3 more breath cycles here. Fantastic. At the end of your next exhalation, you'll go ahead and straighten your legs. You'll bring your hands to your hips if they're not there, and then turn both feet parallel to the short edges of your mat. From here, let's just go ahead and hinge forward at our hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. So now, or not Uttanasana, Prasarita Padottanasana. So now we're in a wide-legged forward fold. Now your hands might come down to the floor. They might come down to blocks. I want you to just see what it feels like for you to just be inverted like this. And then again, you'll take that same shape we did before, or same action, bending one knee and then the other. And you'll notice that the sensations have probably changed between these last 3 poses quite a bit. Maybe with our spine upright, bending one knee and then the other didn't feel like much. But now with our head lower than our heart, we might feel that differently. With the added weight of our spine, in addition to gravity, this might feel very different. And we have to give ourselves permission to notice that even though things are very similar, they do register differently in our body depending upon the context. And so we do often have to give ourselves a little bit of grace when we notice that we might be taking in quite a bit. All right. When you're set between both sides, go ahead and come to neutral. Let's go ahead and inhale, halfway lift. Bring your hands underneath you onto shins or onto the floor, and then bring your hands to your hips. Find your spine as long as it can be, parallel to the floor. Slightly bend your knees and then come all the way up to stand. Great. From here, let's go ahead and step or jump our feet back underneath our hips, back to a Tadasana shape. Relax your hands, soften the gaze, or close the eyes and just notice what you notice here. All right. Okay, you can keep your eyes closed for this or open them if you'd like, but you're just going to bend your knees a few times here. So little demi-plie, bending the knees and then straightening the legs. And notice how the sensation is probably different on your knees, ankles, and shins now than it was when we were wider. Great. We got one more. Awesome. From there, we'll bring your hands back to our hips. You can step or jump your feet again 3 feet apart. This time, we'll turn our left toes to face the short edge of our mat. You'll spin your right toes in towards the left, and then we're going to start to bend and straighten just our front leg. And again, you're paying attention to how does that feel. So we've been bending the knees quite a bit, but now we're in external rotation. Okay, once you've taken this next bend of that front knee, you'll stay there in our warrior 2 shape leg. From here, I want you to push down to the center of your left heel, press down onto the right pinky toe edge, and then allow your arms to flourish into warrior 2. First things first, notice where your head is. Are you looking along the long side of your mat, or does your gaze go over your middle finger of your left hand? And as you take your head wherever it is, notice what's happening in the shoulders. Can you find ease in the shoulders? Notice what's happening in the lungs and in the gut, in the pelvis and in the legs. Notice where you can find a little bit more ease in terms of breath and maybe strength and fortitude in terms of the legs. Happy to stay here, or you'll lower your left forearm to the top of your left thigh, maybe left hand to the floor, and extend your right arm alongside your ears. Now, again, we want to imagine, just like we did at the very beginning of the practice, that you're pushing down with your left hand to roll your rib cage towards the right. And then as you find that shape, notice what's happening along the whole right side body, from your fingers, through your chest, through the top of your waist, down to the floor. Maybe it feels similar to that half moon shape, maybe not. Nice work. Next in-breath, let's return to Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. As you exhale, straighten the front leg long. Turn both legs parallel to the short edge of your mat, and notice if you have to readjust your feet, and if so, do so. And then we'll try that on the other side. So now your right toes point to the short edge of your mat. Your left toes turn to the right as well. And with your hands on your hips, you just start by bending your right knee a few times. And as you bend the knee, I want you to notice the difference that comes with your connection to the floor. Can you push the floor away to straighten your right leg? Can you slowly acquiesce to the support of the floor as you bend the right leg? Changes how the muscles engage around the bone. Awesome. The next time that right leg is bent, we're going to stay there. Again, find this stableness or stability through the feet, and then allow the arms to flourish into your Warrior 2 shape. Once you find yourself there, notice what's happening with your head. Are you looking along the long side of your mat, or does your gaze go over the right middle finger? Are you engaging as much through your back left hand as you are through your front right hand? Are you noticing the shoulders are floating up to the ears? Can you draw the rhomboids together on the back body to keep the chest open and broad? Again, choose to stay here and breathe into the shape, or maybe you lower your right forearm to the top of the right thigh, right hand to the floor, and then extend your left arm alongside your ears, finding a long extension. And again, we're finding the length and the rotation of our spine. That's really important. So as you root down through your legs, it almost feels like you push down into your right armpit. You roll the abdomen towards the spine and then roll the rib cage forward and up. And you find this long extension going all the way from your left fingertips, all the way through the shoulders, the hips, and the whole back leg. Nice work. On your next in-breath, we will return to Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. As you exhale, go ahead and straighten that front leg long. Turn both legs parallel to the short edge of your mat and bring your hands to your hips. Now at this point, we're going to do our standard. So you'll draw your shoulders up towards your ears. You'll draw your shoulder blades together on the back. You'll lift your heart and then start to fold forward for Prasarada Padottanasana. Again, maybe hands stay on hips. Maybe hands come to the feet. Maybe hands go behind the feet through the legs, or maybe they go forward into like a down dog-ish shape. Whatever you're doing with your hands, I want you to consciously be in that shape and consciously breathe into every sensation you're having, and notice the ripple effect that it has by your awareness. All right. If your hands are anywhere other than on the floor, please bring them to the floor. And then let's bring our hands underneath our shoulders. Inhale, halfway lift. And then as you exhale, this time we're going to bend our knees a little bit. Then you'll bring your hands to your hips. Pull your pelvis back as you reach your sternum forward. And then inhale, come up to stand. Take a moment to register. So really feeling the pelvis in its perpendicular position, or I guess parallel position. And then you'll step or hop your feet together. I guess that's parallel. Cool. From here, let's go ahead and turn to face the front of our mat and step to the top of your space. Okay. So before we add on our last couple of tricky things, we might as well do a proper Utkatasana. Might as well. That's hilarious. All right. So we'll stand with our feet hip distance apart. You can always have your big toes touching. I just personally don't like that for my sacrum, but if that works for you, by all means, do that. And then we're going to bend our knees in a happy little squat. And then you have the option of keeping your hands here. You can reach your hands forward like a happy zombie. You can reach your arms up and over your head, or you can cactus your arms. Does not really matter, but we're going to just pause and we're going to breathe. And we're going to notice that if we take micro adjustments, meaning you might shift your weight a little forward, you might shift your weight a little back, you might shift a little more weight onto your big toe mounds or your pinky toe mounds. Notice how that changes the sensation in your legs. Notice how it changes the sensation in your feet, your shins, your calves. Awesome. And we've got 3 more breaths here. And then wherever your arms are, does not matter. I want you to imagine that you're drawing your rhomboids together on your back body. That will just allow your chest to lift. So your arms can still be forward, but it's like the muscles on the back body come together and then your sternum is like, woo, there's a lift. Awesome sauce. Next in breath, let's go ahead and stand up, reach up, look up. And then as you exhale, fold forward at your hips, forward fold, Uttanasana. Great. From here, inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step yourself back, plank pose. Again, slower than you want to, lower all the way down to the mat. And then this time you can come into cobra or up dog or locust, but you've got 5 breath cycles. And you choose the one that feels like it allows you to really find a sense of ease, curiosity, exploration, strength, fortitude, whatever you want to do, but the one that allows you to digest things. And after you've taken your 5 breaths, you're going to lower all the way back down. Now, this one I'm already promising is not going to be fun, but we're going to try it anyways. So let's bring our hands alongside our lowest ribs. Let's curl our toes under. Okay, the first thing I want you to do is remember at the very beginning of the practice when I had you bring your hand to the front of your body and draw the front of your body away from the floor. I want you to feel that particularly around your pubic bone to belly button region. Draw that away from the floor. Now with your toes curled under, some of you will keep your knees down, some of you will straighten your legs away from the floor. But it's that low belly coming away from the floor that's going to push into your hands and come up into a plank pose. Low belly away from the floor. Low belly away from the floor. Yep. Awesome. Then once you find yourself into your plank, you'll hold there for about 4 breath cycles. Long, steady, smooth breath. Awesome sauce. And then when you're ready, lower your knees and go back to child's pose. And whichever variation of your arms you wish to take, whichever variation of your arms you wish to take. Hi, Anne. She even waved. I guess she can hear me, Sandy. Awesome. And then from here, let's go ahead and come forward to hands and knees. And we're going to do one more bird dog plank thing before I make you do a harder bird dog plank thing. So go ahead and send your right leg back. And then go ahead and send your left arm forward. And you all have done enough of these that we want to imagine, again, the front of our body is coming away from the floor. You're engaging around that right glute and lifting the inner right thigh. And then reaching actively from your right heel through your left hand, finding one long line. Nice job. As you're ready, go ahead and lower the limbs and we'll switch sides. So left hand or left leg, right arm. And again, whole front of the body's coming away from the floor. We're engaging around our happy left glute, reaching from our heel to our right thumb, pinky finger area. Great. And very gently lower the limbs back to the floor, curl your toes under, and make your way back to downward facing dog. Now, again, in your down dog, maybe you're still this time. Maybe you want to pedal the feet a little bit, maybe shift the hips a little bit, maybe, or rather, what is that? Shake your head a little bit. It's totally up to you. We're just paying attention. Okay. Next in breath, sweep your right leg up and back. As you exhale, draw the right knee to your nose. Quietly plant the foot between your hands. Spin your left foot to the floor for warrior one. Once your foot is to the floor, bring your spine up to vertical. And for the warrior one, again, we might start with our hands on our hips to steer our outer left hip forward. You might directly just bring your arms up and overhead, but we're paying attention. We're really pressing down into our right heel. We're really pressing down onto the left pinky toe edge. And then I want you to imagine on your rhomboids that I'm asking you to draw them together on your back so your heart lifts. And then you might reach your arms forward from there and then up and overhead. And again, we're focusing on all these things. We're digesting the shape. So the rhomboids are coming together, which allows our heart to feel supported to open. We're lengthening out through our fingers. We're rooting down into our feet. So we've got the stability of knowing where we are. We've got the strength of our heart being open and vulnerable. And we've got the extension, the expansion of where we think we might want to go. We're going to try to keep all that stuff philosophically going on in our head. Some of you will keep your hands up and over your head. Some of you will choose to bring your hands to your hips. All of us are going to shift our torso forward on that long diagonal shape. You'll lift your back heel away from the floor. You'll shift your weight forward and find yourself into Virabhadrasana 3, Warrior 3. Fantastic. Awesome. And you take a couple of breaths to digest this shape. It's a combination of literally almost everything we've done today. And then this one isn't. You're going to squeeze your left butt cheek and draw your left knee towards your face and stand up in one-legged Tadasana. Hooray, that happened, or it didn't. And that's totally fine. And then maybe your hands will come to the front of your left shin. Maybe they won't. If we fall out, that's okay. We come back in. Nice work. And then when you're ready, release the foot to the floor. Once you're up, maybe you wiggle it out like a noodle. And then, of course, we got to do all that again. But before we do that, let's go ahead and inhale. Sweep your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, sit your bum down for Utkatasana chair pose. Again, the backs of the shoulders or backs of the rhomboids are coming together to lift the heart. Next exhale, fold forward at your hips, straighten your legs, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step yourself back. Now you have the option of just going directly to down dog, or maybe you have digested enough that you want to cycle through an up dog and a cobra. But whatever you're choosing to do, we're giving ourselves permission to be fully in the experience, not rushing through because we feel obligated to, or maybe even because sometimes life demands that we do it, but just because because we can. I don't like that one. We'll think of a better way to phrase that in a minute. All right, let's move on. Next in breath, let's go ahead and lift your left leg up and back. As you exhale, knee to nose. Plant your left foot between your hands. Spin your right foot to the floor for Virabhadrasana 1. And then when you're ready, you'll inhale and come up from Virabhadrasana 1. And again, maybe your hands start off at your pelvis. You can then steer your hips the way you would like them to be, or how they need to be rather in this moment. Once your pelvis feels stable, you again push down to the center of your left foot, press into the pinky toe edge of your right foot, draw your rhomboids together on your back so your heart lifts, and then maybe the arms come forward, and then maybe the arms go up. And you just take a couple of breaths here, noticing all the multitude of sensations that are going on in your body. Maybe the engagement of your back right butt cheek, the bend into your left knee, the opening across the front of your chest and your gaze and your breath. All right, again, option to keep your arms above your head, or maybe you bring your hands to your hips. Wherever you are, you're going to shift your torso forward. So we've got a long diagonal along the front of our body. Raise to the ball of your back heel. Shift your weight forward and float your right leg up for that warrior three variation. And again, wobbles are completely fine. How do we integrate them into our experience of what's happening? Whoa. As you're ready, you will bend your back knee, squeeze your glute, draw your knee in front of your chest to one-legged Tadasana. Hooray! Maybe your hands hold on to the front of your shin. Maybe you pull it a little higher. We're still flexing through that right foot. Nice job. And then gently release that and wiggle and noodle it out. All right. We've got a couple more things and then we'll check in. All right, so from here, let's go ahead and inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step back. You can again go directly to downward facing dog. If you want to cycle through, you can do that as well. We're going to meet in a child's pose. And you just take a couple of breaths in child's pose, checking in and feeling how you feel. All right. And from child's pose, slowly sit yourselves up to sit. Okay. I want to try two things. We're going to try the first thing and see how it goes. And depending upon how that goes, we may or may not try the second thing, okay? So if your knees are at all sensitive, I would encourage you to put a blanket in the middle of your mat. If you're like, yeah, my knees are fine, you don't need that. So, hold it like so if you're using it, and then plant it down. And then we'll find ourselves on hands and knees. If you've got blanket, great. If you're not using blanket, fantastic. Let's just find ourselves on hands and knees when we're ready and appropriate with whatever we're using. Okay, so this is building on a lot of stuff that we've done before. Let's go ahead and send your left leg back and float your right arm forward. Option number one is to stay right here. Option number two is to bend your back knee, grab the inside edge of your left foot. You will flex and kick through your left foot, push down like crazy into your left hand, roll your rib cage perhaps to the right, and we're finding ourselves in this variation of a dancer pose. Awesome. And then when you're ready to release that, you extend back out through your left leg, forward through your right arm, again, scooping the front of the belly away from the floor, and then lower the hand and lower the leg. Okay, that didn't seem to go too bad. We'll try the other side now. Extend your right leg back, extend your left arm forward. Again, happy to stay here. This is a viable option. Or you might bend your back knee, grab the inside edge of your right foot. Then you kick your right foot back, you push down like crazy into your right hand, and you rotate maybe your rib cage towards your left. Yeah, all right. When you're ready, gently release that. Again, right arm back, left arm forward, and lower down, hand and knee. Cool. How did that go on a scale of 1 to 10? I got a 8. That looks like Sandy. Got a 10. I got a 10. Great. Okay. Yeah, you hang out there, Steve. All right. Let's try our next thing then. Let's go back to downward facing dog. Wait, let me pause. Do you want me to show you what we're going to do, or you just want to try it? We're going to do half moon with a bind. All right. Let's go to down dog. We'll see how it goes. I'll talk you through it. Okay. So once you find yourself in your downward facing dog, we want to really focus that elongation from your tail to your crown. So just notice that. And then when you're ready, you're going to walk your feet to your face. Once your feet come towards the top of your mat, it would be a great idea to put your hands on your blocks. From here, it would also be a great idea to make sure your blocks are on a higher setting so that it's easy for you to find the floor. Great. From here, let's extend our right leg back parallel to the floor. From here, you'll stack your right hip on top of your left. Pause. Let's unwind a little bit. Lower your right leg back down to the floor, everybody. Step your left hand forward into the left just a smidge. Great. Lift your right leg up parallel to the floor. Then stack your left hip on top, or your right hip on top of your left. Continue to press down into the big toe mound of your left foot as you lift your inner right heel away from the floor. Now you might choose to lift your right hand, that's the top hand, up towards the sky. Happy to stay here if that works for you. Some of you will bend your top knee, grab the outside edge of your top ankle, and pause here. To go into half moon, you really have to take your time. You have to digest the information that that bottom foot is giving you. Slowly keep reaching for the foot. Yep. And let the heart open. Great. And then when you're ready to come out of it, if you're holding the foot, let go. Extend back through the right leg. Draw your right hand to the floor. Square your hips to the floor. Step your right foot to the floor. Great. Take a moment to just be in center and in stillness and notice what you notice. And then when you're ready to try the other side, you'll start by stepping your block to the right and forward just a little bit. Reach your left leg back parallel to the floor. Stack your left hip on top of your right. Keep extending through that inner left thigh. You might just stay here. You might just float your left arm up towards the sky. Yeah. You might bend the back knee, reach around and grab the ankle. Yep. And you just take your time to digest. And then when you're ready to come out, you gently come out. You bring the hand back to the hip, the gaze to the floor, the left hand to the floor, the hips square to the floor, and step the left foot forward. Awesome. All right. Once you're in that forward fold, we'll take a moment to bend your knees here. Maybe shift your pelvis, maybe shake your head. Just notice what you need to find a little bit of release in the low back. Great. And then find a sense of stillness from here. Last thing, just to make sure your backs are okay. Bend your knees, plant your palms, step yourself back to plank pose. And then you might lower your knees first, but you're going to lower your forearms to the mat, and we're going to do a forearm plank. Okay, so your knees can be on the floor, they can be off. Or wherever you are, Sandy, wiggle your feet back a little bit more. Yep. We want to push down into our forearms. So our elbows are directly underneath our shoulders. Our upper back rounds just a smidge. So we've got that upper kyphotic curve. Then as though you could isometrically pull your elbows from right to left, you push wide on your elbows, and then you isometrically drag your elbows back to your toes forward to your elbows. And you just pause and breathe. And we're looking for just a little bit of a shake. It's just an engagement on the front of the body quite a bit. And you just pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe and you just pause and you breathe and you notice. Great. And when you feel like you've gotten enough of that sensation, you've digested enough of that, you will release onto your belly. And when you find yourself on your belly, you're going to go back to heads up, 7 up. So hands stack on top of each other or forearms stack on top of each other. Big toes are, well, legs are as wide as your hips. Toes might be turned in. They might be flat against the floor. They might be turned out. And then again, if you need to wiggle the pelvis, wiggle the pelvis. But you'll notice where you can start to soften, where you can start to let go. Sometimes, ironically enough, I find that from a muscular perspective, I have days where if I engage lots of muscles and do heavy things, which is probably why Sandy might enjoy lifting weights, I feel a release in my body that just feels really nice. I feel a release in the nervous system that feels just really nice. And then other days, I need to just slow down. I need to stretch. I need to just settle into what the body naturally wants to do when it unwinds, and not because I'm trying to make it do something really hard. And so you just pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice about breathing into the body now. And after you've taken your next 3 breath cycles here, you'll make your way onto your back. But I really want you to take those 3 breath cycles. And if your body tells you you want to take more, great, take them. If your body tells you you want to take less, that's fantastic too. But you'll just take your 3 breath cycles. Well, you won't take your 3 breath cycles. You'll listen to what your body's telling you. And then when you're ready, you'll roll onto your back. If you're still on your abdomen, stay there as long as you would like. When you find yourself onto your back, you might notice if you want to do some windshield wipers of the legs. You might notice if you want to take them slowly and just hang out on one side, or if you like the actual movement. Once you've done that, that literally looks like a windshield wiper, Barbara. Um, you might find yourself in stillness and find yourself into constructive rest. And when you're in constructive rest, legs, or rather feet, are wider than the hips, knees fall into each other, arms wrap around the torso, giving yourself a big giant hug. And then just check in and see if there's anything else your body feels like it might want to do. One of my teachers, Yoga Rupa, said that our intuition, our wisdom, it always speaks quietly, and it always speaks in very short, concise sentences. And so, as you're checking in here, you're listening for that quiet, clear voice, letting you know what you might want or need to do to complete your practice. You might be completely fine as you are, and if so, great. Stay there, do that. If something else is calling to you, fantastic, do that. We're just listening to the internal wisdom. For me, I think this idea of digestion is really important because it, I guess, from a psychological, statistical perspective, gives me the ability to discern the signal from the noise, the things that are really important versus all the things that I think might be important. And so as you settle in or as you settle in, as you complete these last few explorations, if you're exploring anything, I encourage you to notice what it feels like internally when you found the signal, when you can discern the signal from the noise. Hi, Roxanne. Right. And if you're still moving, fantastic. Those of you that are ready, start to make your way to your final resting pose. Whatever it is, I do encourage you to make sure your body feels warm and supported. And once you have wrapped up, if you're doing that, again, check in and notice if there's a particular part of the body that doesn't feel like it can quite drop in. And if so, just move and fidget until it feels like you're able. to really let go. Great. And then we'll just bring our awareness to the breath. Just take an audible sigh through the mouth. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. One more, just like that. Big breath in and big breath out. Allow your breath to start to fall into its natural, involuntary rhythm. And as the breath falls back, allow your awareness to just remain connected to the role of witness. So maybe as the witness, you just notice the parts of the body that continue to unwind, continue to register and digest, to receive the benefits of the practice. Notice the parts of the body that continue to relinquish anything it doesn't need to hold on to any longer. And if at all you notice the mind has wandered into evaluating, judging, planning, you celebrate that. And then bring your awareness back to the physical sensations. I'll go ahead and leave you here with you for the next few moments, and I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. Notice if there's any part of you longing to linger in this shape. And if so, by all means, please stay here. When you are ready, allow movement to re-enter into your physical form in whatever way feels good to you. Again, if you're in stillness, stay in stillness. If you're in movement, start to make your way to your right side and pause there for a few breath cycles. After you've taken a few breath cycles on your right side, you'll slowly press yourself up to a tall and comfortable seat. Once you're upright and vertical, again, make sure you're comfortable. Make sure that you can sit. Our practice, in whatever form it looks like on any given day, I think is intended to be a training ground for us to remind ourselves time and again that this hard thing that is life, we can each do. And that if we just take the opportunity to just be with, digest, register, whatever is happening in a given moment, we can always find the nurturants, the nutrients, the juice, the good things from probably almost anything. Again, probably being an operative word there, but we do have to give ourselves time to digest it. And so as you sit here for these last few moments, these last few breaths, I invite you to notice the things in your life that might be asking or needing a little bit more time, a little bit more space, a little bit more patience as they digest, as they process, as they integrate, as they let go. Gently draw your hands to heart center Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other. Receive the weight of your hands into your sternum and then press the sternum into the heels of the hands. Gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in. Audible exhale. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. And draw your thumbs to your heart center. May our hearts be open. The light, the breath, the digester within me honors and salutes the light, the breath, and the digester within each of you. Namaste.